Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Here is a clip of so-called quote-unquote migrants just walking into the country. You don't see any point of entry. You don't see any gates. You don't see any border patrol. Just waltzing in. And then I'm going to show you a NBC clip reporting on the crisis. So even when they say they're even-handed now and they're showing what's going on, they still lie. So let's show this clip first. And you can see. Now, I want you to check out something here. Look at that line. Do you see any children in there? Yeah, there's some young men. One on the right there with the light brown coat and the greenish hat. Yeah, he looks young. They're not children. As you look down there, you don't see any. And the funny part is, they don't look like they're from Central America either. They're probably from Africa or maybe somewhere in the Caribbean. Just waltzing in. And they all go to a place where they all get their paperwork and then they're released. So the reason why I'm showing you this is because you're going to see the NBC report supposedly is reporting. Again, do you see any small children? A couple here and there, but very far and few between. Just waltzing in. Just walking down the street. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Yeah, there's a kid there on the right. There's one. I've seen maybe 6 in this whole thing. Now, let's check out the other video. Now, here's another video. Just walking down, just walking past. Yeah, there's women in there. Do you see any small kids? I don't see any. And a lot of them are dark-skinned African Americans. They're not from Central America. They're coming from around the world, mostly Africa. And they're just waltzing in. Now, I want you to see the NBC report. So even when they do report the story, they still lie. You see any small kids? Yeah, there's a couple of short boys there. Maybe, what, 10, 12, 13? That's the youngest there is here. You're going to see what NBC says, which is fascinating. Now, here is the NBC story, which I find fascinating. See how it's described. So even when they are reporting things that hurt President Biden, i.e. Democrats in general, and not propping up, or I should say putting down Trump and Republicans, they still lie. It's amazing to me. Let's listen.
Tonight, stunning images from Eagle Pass, Texas, where thousands of migrant men, women, and so many children now fill in.
And so many children. And you're going to watch and see that the videos they show always have small kids in it. Now, you've got 12,000 people crossing. We'll say 5% are children. That's still 600. So if you see 600 children, you're going to say, and so many children. But that's not what that's for. It's a lie to make it look like this is a Herculean humanitarian crisis. And we have small children, and we have to look out for them because they're innocent where these adults aren't. That's the scam. That's the lie. Yeah, our children should be looked after? Absolutely. But that's not the point. The point is these adults, and some of them aren't even their parents or even a family relation, brought them to God knows through what, and was exposed to what, which you can't get into here because this website won't allow it, and now risking their life to cross in the United States. This is planned. All this couldn't be done without proper planning. And I say planning, I mean by non-government agencies through Mexico, Central America. They're arriving in boatloads from Africa and coming through. This is the largest single one-day crossing in the history of the United States. So let's listen to the rest, and then we'll see the interview from the Lieutenant Governor of Texas.
Entire fields, the groups lining the Rio Grande clinging to blankets, huddling to stay warm, all waiting for hours to be processed, and most likely to be released into the United States.
Most likely to be released to the United States. What happened to the vetting? What happened to the vetting process? There really isn't any. Now, they've caught a few so far, I believe, in this last group, in the last few days, they've caught 12 more individuals there on the terrorist watch list. Maybe they got them through fingerprints. I really don't know. But they're mostly given appearance tickets. Some have to appear in court in the 2030s. And this is 2023. And after 6 months, court case or not, they're allowed to work here. And meanwhile, the taxpayers pay their entire way, even after they get work, because they still qualify probably for Medicaid, food stamps, and many other of the alphabet soup social programs we have.
Of all our trips to Eagle Pass, this is the largest group we have ever encountered. Sources tell us the majority of these families are Venezuelan, and we've just learned from authorities.
Yeah, when you look through that crowd, did you see a lot of Central American people? That's where Venezuela is in South America. You see any Latino people, South Americans, Venezuelans? They look like mostly African Americans to me. So there's the lie. There's lie number 2. It's just incredible to me. And what was it? Bernie Sanders and AOC praised Venezuela as being an example of socialism gone right? You have to be kidding me, right? You have to be kidding.
Nearly 3,000 were apprehended just yesterday. On Monday alone, a staggering new...
Now, look at this crowd. See a lot of little kids? But they probably figured by this point, they can say, well, we're going to show real photos now of what the migrant camps look like in general, because we've already pulled at their heart with so many children.
Record. DHS officials telling NBC News more than 12,000 migrants crossed the U.S.-Mexico border, the most recorded in a single day ever. The surge sparking a new battle between the Lone Star State and the White House. Republicans here blaming President Biden's border policies for a record number of illegal crossings.
Biden's deliberate inaction has left Texas to fend for itself.
Now Governor Greg...
No, they have. And if you don't believe me, look at the mayors of Chicago, who they just replaced, Lori Lightfoot. You thought she was bad. The person they voted for to replace her is 10 times worse. Even he's bitching how much it's costing the city of Chicago and directly the state of Illinois. Well, you want to become a sanctuary city. New York City's the same way. Eric Adams, who I had high hopes for because he was the head of the police department, I figured he was a little more pragmatic when it came to policy, said when he was running for mayor, New York's a sanctuary city, and then bitched and complained to everybody in a little speech from a bunch of people from the city that nobody's got his back to help him stop these migrants from coming in here. Is going to cost them $11 billion over 5 years. But it's okay that the border states of Nevada, Arizona, and Texas, especially Texas, have to pay the bills. That's all right. Well, can we get any federal money, Joe Biden? Nope. Can you give us a helping hand? Nope. Can you bring down some of the U.S. Army personnel? Nope. All they have is a National Guard. So we're going to see what happens. Let's listen on.
Abbott signing a new law, making illegal immigration a state crime, empowering police and sheriff's deputies to arrest migrants. Texas has already put controversial floating barriers in the Rio Grande and barbed wire along the border, but both face ongoing challenges. The White House calling the new law extreme. The ACLU of Texas saying they'll sue.
That is going to drive our immigrant communities into the shadows. It's going to increase suspicion of relying on law enforcement.
How much?
Increase suspicion of relying on law enforcement. What does that mean? Increase suspicion of relying on law enforcement. In other words, we don't even want these illegal migrants that come in to even feel the last bit anxious, have anxiety about the fact they're here unlawfully and the authorities will deport them. It's incredible to me. So not only do we have to kiss their behinds and pay for them, and they're here unlawfully, we have to make sure that psychologically they don't have any anxiety about law enforcement looking for them. It's incredible to me. Absolutely incredible.
Longer can you keep up?
No, we can't. We can't. Now it's like 3,000 or 4,000 right now. So they're coming in.
Maverick County Sheriff Tom Schmerber tells us they're struggling to cope with the number of migrants.
Yeah, they're struggling to cope. Now let's get an interview with the Lieutenant Governor of Texas. And here's the interview with the Lieutenant Governor of Texas.
Joining me now is the Texas Lieutenant Governor, Dan Patrick. Dan, now the White House said today that this law won't make communities safer. Your response?
So we spent a lot of time, Laura, in the Senate writing this bill along with the governor, and we believe we have a bill that will survive any type of Supreme Court challenge because we are being invaded. Arizona tried this about 10 years ago, but our law is different. It simply says that our law enforcement can arrest anyone, take them in, do a background check, photograph, do fingerprints. If they saw them cross the border illegally, we can do that. Or if they happen to reveal in the arrest stop that they crossed illegally, and then the magistrate will send them back and will escort them to the border. And they have a choice. They go to jail or they can go back. And if they go back and try to come back again and we arrest them again, the penalty gets even higher.
Now, okay, I give Texas credit for this. They're looking out for their own people in their own state. I get it. And Texans are very, at least the vast majority, are very independent-minded. Remember, they used to be a county of Mexico. They revolted, got their independence, and then became a state shortly thereafter. Now, what are they supposed to do? Pay all these billions and billions of dollars out of the state coffers? Why won't Joe Biden help them? Because he'll never win Texas in the Electoral College. That's why. It's just incredible to me. Absolutely incredible. And we're not just talking about money here. We're talking about assaults, XCX assaults. We're talking about murder. We're talking about muggings. We're talking about robberies. And the list goes on and on. Am I implying that the vast majority of these people are criminals? Of course not. Anybody that says that is stupid. That's not the point. So far, my understanding, what I've investigated online, is at least 27 individuals that are on the international terrorist list have been caught crossing the Mexican-U.S. border. Who the hell is coming in our country? And you can see from James O'Keefe's new company, OMG, they're paying first-class airfare for these people to fly all over the country. Even here in upstate New York, my understanding is people have called me because I used to be a local city councilman, so a lot of people know me, telling me about how at the food banks, the lines are out the door at the beginning of the food bank when they open, and they're basically empty before the people that are locals, they really need the food bank, get there. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Let's listen on.
We're fed up. In fact, seeing what happened in Colorado tonight, Laura, makes me think, except we believe in democracy in Texas, maybe we should take Joe Biden off the ballot in Texas for allowing 8 million people to cross the border since he's been president, disrupting our state far more than anything anyone else has done in recent history. And so this is so outrageous. 10,000, 12,000, 14,000 people a day crossing the border, 8 million
now,
people
the numbers,
since he's been in office, enough to be the 12th largest state.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Now, I think the numbers people are numb to the numbers now. It's the sheer mass of humanity that is obviously taking over cities, local communities, school districts, healthcare system, homeless shelters. I mean, it is overwhelming already overburdened state and local budgets. And now, Dan, this Congresswoman, Jasmine Crockett, decides, well, it's time to go after Texas. Watch.
I'm very concerned because the Republicans have never gotten immigration right. When you look at somebody like Greg Abbott, my God.
They've never gotten immigration right. Yeah, Republicans could have fixed immigration a long time ago. That's not what she means. For her, right is letting everybody and anybody that wants to come here, regardless of reason, give them asylum, feed them billions of dollars from our very generous welfare system, and basically groom new voters. And then next, they'll be voting Democrat. And they'll be replacing Americans for low-wage jobs. Now, currently, and there's nobody that can deny these facts, this influx of so-called immigrants, once they get the right to work, will be taking jobs away from low-income Americans. And the individuals that are hurt the worst by any metric, and this is undeniable, is African Americans first and then Latinos second. I guess they've used all they're going to use out of the blacks and Hispanics to vote for them, and they're just going to keep on doing it and build a whole new group of voters for the Democrat Party. Why are they doing this? Who's to gain the most? Well, monetarily, it's the huge corporations. They will gain the most. Let's listen on.
Governor and his solution is to basically say, hey, we're going to kill people that are trying to come in. Like, that's not a solution.
We're going to kill people that are trying to come in. Who the hell are they killing? It's the Biden administration policy that gave the green light around the world to these people that came in. He has blood on his hands. And the advisors of the president, who really are the president, have blood on their hands. Governor Abbott wants to kill people. I've got my problems with Governor Abbott, but he's not trying to kill anyone. And if you notice, this is on MSNBC, who also said that Trump was like a chancellor in Germany in the 1930s, and one even said, if Trump wins, he'll be above the law and he'll be able to shoot the first lady. These people are nuts.
So, Dan,
kill people?
You're a congresswoman from Texas. You're trying to kill people, you and Abbott.
Yeah. She's Jasmine Crackpot, not Jasmine Crockett. That's just absolutely ridiculous. Our bill, Senate Bill 4.
See the pictures there on the right? Yeah, there's a couple of kids in there. Many of them don't look Hispanic to me. Many are from the African continent. I have zero problem with immigration. Zero. My father's parents were off-the-boat Italians, as we call it. They came in the early 1900s. Zero. You come into a point of entry, you go through the paperwork, and if you qualify for asylum and become an American citizen, I welcome you with open arms, as long as you're able to sustain yourself and individuals in your family or immediate group and not become a burden to the taxpayers. I have zero problem. But given this blanket immunity and then given a court date 7 to 10 years in the future, what on earth do you think is going to happen? And here's the other thing. You can have very liberal open immigration, and you can have a very expensive and large welfare state. You can't have both. It is a formula for disaster. So are Democrats trying to cause as much chaos as they possibly can, knowing they're going to lose in 2024?
Says we can arrest them and send them back. We also passed another bill to put another $1.5 billion into building more wall, and we filed another and passed another bill, to deal with human smuggling, because the Biden administration is doing nothing, Laura, as we all know. We know that hundreds of people on the terrorist watch list have been apprehended. That doesn't count all the people we don't catch. We know that sex offenders, rapists, murderers have crossed the border, and Biden does nothing. He puts our lives at risk. They don't care. But, you know, again, Laura, our founders.
They don't care that. No. Dan, they don't care about the Constitution. They don't care about the representative democracy. They don't care about democracy. And they certainly don't care about how many Americans and legal immigrants have been killed or brutalized or beaten or robbed because of the people they don't care.
That's exactly right. You notice in that group, she says citizens and legal migrants. She puts in the same category, which they are. They went through the process. Sometimes it takes many, many years to go through the system, become a naturalized citizen. And those of you progressive leftists that happen to hear this video, which I doubt there's many, if any, being a citizen in the United States is not a right. It's a privilege. And the United States is the greatest country in the world. And those of you that balk at that, look at these people trying to come here, risking their lives. I've seen statistics that say between 20 and 30% of unaccompanied children end up in trafficking. 20 to 30%, almost a quarter to 1/3. Where these children end up, and God only knows what's happening to them. And she's right, they don't care. They want chaos. They're not in charge of the House of Representatives anymore. They can't get things through. They can't change laws. They can't seem to stop Trump. This is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this. The next year is going to be amazing. Amazingly difficult and amazingly chaotic. And those of us like myself and many of the listeners to this channel are going to keep their heads and keep their eye on the prize. And what prize is that? The prize is non-government interference with our daily lives and have the government that swore an oath to protect our country at the border, to obey the laws we currently have, not use lawfare and judges to disqualify people. They're doing this because it gets corporations rich. They're doing this to Democrats to cause chaos. They simply don't care. But this is coming back to bite them. This immigration fiasco and the trans issues will bite them in the end. How is Biden getting 38, 39% approval? That should scare the hell out of you. That 40% of the adult population that vote in this country think he's doing a good job. That should scare you to death. Where they get information and news? Fed from CNN, MSNBC, and others. And like I said, when I show the NBC clip, even when they show this incredible mass illegal migration, they still pull at your heartstrings and say, and so many children. It's a scam. It's a lie. This is a powder keg waiting to go off. Immigration and trans issues, racism, and other things concerning adult sexual content now being taught to children. All this is in the mix. And there's so much going on. Please don't roll your eyes and say, I don't want to hear anymore. I just want to spend time with my friends and family. I can't stand it anymore. Now, you know, what is it, Thomas Paine? When the Revolutionary Army was falling to pieces and they were starving and freezing to death? These are the times that try men's souls. And he called them sunshine patriots. Well, let's hope and pray there are not a lot of sunshine patriots, because the next year is going to be a huge turning point for this country. Anyway, I've babbled enough. This video is longer than normal, but I think this is so important I took extra time. Until the next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.